Hi, this is James of Megalife 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet, and I'm here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, and this is part 3 of the very, very important topic concerning the conservative agenda exposed. Now, we were discussing, myself and the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman, about what right-wing conservatives are not, and we proved that they're not patriotic like they say, and they're not close to God and real Christians like they say. We proved that in video 2. And we also proved, and we were touching upon, what right-wing conservatives actually are, which is bottom line obsessed, greedy, and power-hungry without any compassion for the poor. And they don't like the middle class at all, because they do everything to destroy it. And my hunch is that the middle class is where the entrepreneurs, the small business people come from. The competition for the fat cats, for the big corporations, come from the middle class. So maybe that's the main reason why they don't give breaks to the middle class. But and of course we mentioned how the Democrats sold us all out concerning health care reform, Barack Obama's health care reform. Now, I want to mention some ridiculous excuses, stupid things that right-wing conservatives usually come out with. Like my conservative uncle and my aunt would say things like, well, you could have hooked up with working for a big blue chip company many years ago, and you could have pulled yourself up by the bootstraps and applied yourself and worked hard for one company, and they would have took care of you, and blah blah blah, and you would have retired with working for one company and dedicating yourself to one company, and blah blah blah. Yeah, guess what? My friend, a good friend of mine, worked for Kierfart Navigations, which had government contracts. I think it was based in either Little Falls, New Jersey, or West Patterson. I'm not sure. I think it was Little Falls. They laid him off after 15 years of devotion before he was eligible for his pension. So they cut you off at the pass before you're eligible for anything. So that's what 15 years of full-time devotion to one company will get you. They get rid of you. Now, of course, most of these jobs from American companies are probably outsourced. So that's one thing that I have to say to answer the conservative mouthpiece. Another thing I heard is, let's see. Oh, my aunt says, well, nobody should depend on Social Security or Medicare, because Social Security was only originally meant to be a supplement to your income. You're supposed to save for your own individual retirement account and get your own health insurance and get your own this and get your own that. Well, I got news for you. In order to invest money for your retirement, in order to pay for your own health insurance, in order to pay for your own everything, you have to have sufficient surplus cash, disposable income in your bank account to be able to buy this. Now, if you don't have the disposable income and you don't have a job because you can't find the job because the jobs are outsourced, then how do you pay for your own retirement, and how do you pay for your own insurance?
Or how do you do that on minimum wage?
Minimum wage. Even if a couple, a husband and wife, are making minimum wage, you're not going to be able to afford that. You can't even afford the rent. There's going to be a choice between, should I pay my rent or should I pay the health insurance premiums? What do I do first? That's what it comes down to. And by the way, good health care in a democracy, as far as we're concerned, is a right. It's not something you have to feel obligated that you have to pay for every time you get sick or lose your life savings if you need an operation. I mean,
all the
surgery.
Other industrialized nations believe that.
If you need surgery, you got to wipe out your bank account. Yeah, Europe and Canada. But you
can't afford it.
Another conservative rebuttal to the Europe and Canada's socialized medicine. They say, well, the population of Europe and Canada is very low compared to the United States, so it wouldn't work here because the population here is too vast.
Oh, well then, gee whiz, how come they're getting all those taxes over there then? We have more people paying taxes, so we should have more.
Right. They have a lot less people paying taxes.
Yeah.
So they should have more revenue. So why do they have the revenue for socialized medicine,
And we don't.
the taxes, and we don't if we have more
Well,
people
I'll tell you
paying
why.
taxes?
It's very simple. Why?
Why?
Because the rich have never paid their fair share.
The rich are have gotten away with paying their taxes in America. The elitists don't pay taxes. That's the reason, thanks to people like, I guess, Ronald Reagan, G.W. Bushmaster, which happens to be a very poisonous snake, by the way, G.W. Bushmaster, and all the other Republicans that allowed for the offshore tax havens and the mailboxes for corporations in the Cayman Islands or the Bahamas, and the Swiss bank accounts and all the other places, you know, and the deregulation for corporations.
And take our tax money from the many, give it to the few as subsidies and tax breaks and all kinds of things.
And welfare.
Welfare.
Which is corporate bailouts.
Yeah.
Money that, you know, but if the little guy needs a little help for...
Oh, they scream and yell about
for-
welfare. Welfare is like 1, 2, or 3% of the budget, for crying out loud.
They make
And
a
they
big
scream and
stake.
yell about it.
Now you see what kind of horrible lack of compassion the elitists in the United States have, and the greed they're obsessed with. You see how they squawk about 1 or 2% of the U.S. budget going for social services.
But the Pentagon can lose trillions, and nobody says a word.
Right. And what about the fact that senators and congressmen are making well over $150,000 a year, maybe even closer to two? I don't know, you might know the figure. Exactly, but and they get everything for free. Their retirement, the pension, the best health insurance for them and their families. Now, certainly they can afford to pay for their own health insurance and their own IRA, their own retirement nest eggs. They can afford to contribute on their own out of their salaries. You would think so.
Yeah.
You know what a conservative teacher said in this school. He happens to be a lawyer. He says, well, you know, 100,000, 150 grand a year is not as much as you think nowadays. So, you know, they can't really afford to buy their own health insurance.
Well, then how do they expect the person making less than that to do that?
Right. How do they expect the little guy to pay for their own health insurance if 150 grand is not as much as it was in the past?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same buying power. How you going to do it? You can't be done. And then of course the deregulated insurance companies, they love denying people when they make a claim. When somebody's sick, I mean, they'll take your premiums, but they'll deny the claims.
They have special doctors that do that within the house, you know, in their office to do that.
For denial.
Yep.
Denial of claims.
Yes.
So it's like,
They'll find any excuse to do it.
yeah, I mean, they could certainly pay. I mean, I know somebody that has his own business, is involved in a family business. You want to call it mom and pop operation, but it's a very old family business. Pays $750 per month in health insurance premiums for a mediocre health insurance plan. Not the worst, but not the best. So $750 for a moderate mediocre plan a month, right? So certainly these senators can afford to pay for an optimum plan. Hey, they're public servants.
Remember now.
They're not there to rake in the big bucks.
People on Social Security and other certain pension plans and
Right.
etc. are not going to get cost of living increases for the next 2 years.
Right.
However, as the newsletter will point out,
That's right. The new newsletter is out.
Congress is getting their 4% raise this year and next year. They're not
Really?
doing without.
No. They're not doing it. You're right. And it is here. It's titled, When Does the Greed Stop? Get it now.
Good question.
Good question. When does the greed stop? Get your subscription right now. NewsletterCensor.com.